Hey everybody, I'm Garcia, and today I'm taking a look at another one of those spin-offs based on a bigger game that is Karuba, the card game. In the original game of Karuba, each player was developing their own section of jungle and trying to connect their explorers to the matching temples by all the players drawing the exact same tile, but then where you placed it would be different. This game takes that concept and simplifies it considerably, turns it into a card game, of course, with each player simply having a very small hand of cards and playing a couple of those cards at a time, laying them out into their on the table in front of them in a small grid, trying to also connect temples to explorers. But again, the distances here are going to be considerably smaller. It feels like, sort of mini Karuba in many ways. So let me show you how this works. We'll come on back after that, and I'll tell you what I think of this and what I think of it in comparison to Karuba. Does it do a good job of making a smaller Karuba? Does it do an interesting, necessary job of filling in a gap that game perhaps left behind? Here we go. In the game, each player is going to have their own deck of cards with 16 cards in it, represented right here on this cardboard tile, showing you all possible 16 cards. And they are going to be playing these cards, laying them out on the table in order to create a map, and attempting to get their explorers to make it over to their matching temples, earning victory points by doing so. Highest score, of course, at the end of the game is going to be the winner. And so each player is going to, at the beginning of the game, shuffle up their deck, and they will draw 3 cards, and from those 3 they will select 2 cards. So let's say we're going to play here a game with 3 players. So let's just remove a few of these out for now, and we will give each player 3 cards. So you'll take a look at your cards, and you'll select, as I said, 2 of the 3. So I'm going to play those 2 there. This player will play those 2. This player will play those 2, all right? Then they're all revealed, and whoever played the lowest total, so by combining the 2 numbers on the cards, in this case this player played a total of 4, they'll be the lowest. They have to get rid of one of those 2 cards, and they will not be able to play it. So let's say this player wants to get rid of this one. So they'll just throw that one away, and then players get to build these into their own space in front of them in a grid that is at most 4 by 4. And as soon as you've played one card, every card from that point on must be adjacent to a previously built card. And so in this case, I'll go ahead and play these 2 like so, which is great because that explorer already goes to that temple. That guarantees me 3 victory points at the end of the game. This player here is going to build that one there, and they're going to build this one right here next to it. Note that you are okay and allowed to close off paths like so. So that's fine, and this player simply builds that one there. Since we played 2 cards, we each draw 2 cards, and we repeat that process. And I will, again, just sort of randomly pick for these players which ones they are going to be playing. But I will make an actual choice. So I'll play those 2, reveal these. My total is 21. This player plays these 2 also for 21. And this player plays these 2 for 22. And so we both tied for the lowest. So we both have to discard a card. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 8 because I don't want to lose that explorer. My friend over here made a tactical error. They're going to have to lose one of those 2 temples. So they're going to go ahead. Let's see what else. They're going to go ahead and get rid of that one, all right? So they know they're not going to make that connection. That's fine. And then we build whatever we decided to put into play. So again, it does not have to... you don't have to have the paths line up, but you cannot rotate these cards at all. They have to be built with the numbers all facing the same way. So I'll go ahead and build that there. I'll build that there for that player. And this continues until the game is over. So let me go ahead and build a setup here of what it might look like at the end of the game for one of these players and show you scoring. So our green player here was able to build this layout here, as I said, a maximum of 4 by 4, and they are now going to score at the end of the game. For each character that makes it to their own temple, you are going to get 3 victory points, and along the way, if you pick up gold nuggets or gems, you are also going to get some victory points for that. So Blue makes it over here to this temple. And by the way, you are meant to take the shortest path you can there. So that's 3 points, but along the way, they'll pick up this gem. That's 1 more point for 4 points. Purple over here did not make it to her temple, so that's nothing for that one. Green makes it here, picks up nothing along the way. That's another 3 points for a total of 7 so far. And then we've got the orange over here, who makes it all the way over here. And they are going to get 3 for going there, and a bonus 2 along the way. That's 5 plus the 7 they had, a score of 12 points. I do want to mention that if a player is able to make it there, so in this case that changes nothing except I'm scoring blue one of these gold nuggets. That's a bonus 2 victory points. But orange cannot walk through another explorer to get to their own temple here, so they would actually be blocked, and they would not be able to score that temple there. And so that's it. You are going to play cards along with the other players. If you're the lowest, you have to get rid of a card, and then play out your 1 or 2 cards into your display, making sure that they are touching a card previously played, though the lines don't have to match, and then scoring at the end of the game. That's all there is to it. Let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, so let's talk about Karuba, the card game here. I'm going to start with thematic ties. I think the theme here is fine, but honestly, I think it fits a lot less intelligently than the original game did, partly because the idea of exploring is hard to really dig into when the entire play surface is 4x4. I mean, many times you are going to have an explorer trek through the jungle and walk right to the town next to them, and there's your temple. You're not really doing much exploring, so it doesn't work as well as in the original game, where you had these possibly winding paths through the jungle until someone finally made it to their temple. And in that game, getting there first mattered. You were attempting to beat other players to the temples. They were all in the same position. Your starting explorers were in the same position as everyone else. But getting to these places before other people was important. You got more points for that. In this game, it does not matter, and so the theme is diminished in some ways. The aesthetics here are fine. I like the look of the game. I think the cards are great quality. Artwork is very clear, very nice, so I have no problem with that. And then it's also a nice little portable box as well. So that's well done. The replayability I find pretty low. You are doing very little in the game. There's not a lot going on in the game. There's very few cards. You are doing very much the same things, and the luck is going to play a huge factor from game to game. And so the replayability I just don't find is very high in this one. Game length is incredibly fast. I mean, the box says, if I'm not mistaken, 15 minutes. Let me find it here. I think it says it on the back. Yeah, 15 minutes. I actually find that to be a little long. In the games I've played, this game takes between 8 and 10 minutes easy. It is an extremely short game. So, does that mean it gets a pass for just being so-so at other things? Not really. But if you are looking for like the ultimate short filler, I guess this could work for that. But be aware. So I'm happy with the length. I think for what the game does, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's fine. The ease of play is also extremely high. This can be taught in about a minute and a half. So that's also great. And then lastly, tactics, strategy, luck, all of that stuff. Yeah, there's some tactics here, but they're so obvious. I hesitate to call them tactics. You know, things like, you know that the purple building only opens this way, the purple temple, so don't put it on, you know, this wall because you can't get into it, you know, from anywhere. Things like that, you know. Don't block yourself off if you can help it. That's it for tactics, and they will be apparent after one game. You will know the things to not do while you wait for the right cards to come up, you know. And that's all luck. The 16 cards are going to be shuffled randomly. You don't know when what is coming. The only thing that you have that you could call perhaps a resemblance of tactics is the fact that as you are playing 2 cards, the numbers are summed, and the lowest played sum, that player has to discard a card. That's interesting. Again, the 3 cards you have in your hand don't give you a ton of variability, but you do have to be careful with when you sneak in a low number, right? It's still double think. It's still guessing, right? I might play a combined total of 22 and still not have it be enough, right? But you try to sneak in low numbers combined with high numbers so that you may perhaps get them both through. Or maybe you don't do that. Maybe you combine two high numbers and pretty much guarantee, almost, that you can get through with both the cards, you know? So that's it. That's all there is to it. It sounds like I'm hating on the game a lot, and I don't mean to. I actually find this game to be pretty cute. And as far as 10-minute games go, this is a good 10-minute game. It plays up to 6 people. It's very fast. It's clean. Scoring super straightforward, so that's nice. It's going to look good on the table. It's going to take a little bit of room on the table if you're playing with a large number, so be aware of that. But other than that, this is a cute game. There's just not a lot there, you know. This is the kind of game you are going to perhaps play a few times and then be kind of, you know, you're going to be done with it, I think. I don't see a lot of replayability here. I don't see a whole lot of reason to come back to it. This is a cute diversion a few times, and then you're done. And maybe it'll be a more interesting, longer-lasting diversion to someone who is really into the theme, someone who really enjoys 10-minute games, you know, or perhaps a non-gamer who is going to find this particularly appealing, you know. So I could see this being a replacement to a few simple, small, mass-market card games. That would work, perhaps, especially comparing the time length many of those games expect you to invest compared to, you know, 10, 15 minutes. But other than that, there's just not a lot here. And unfortunately, this is just a pale, pale shadow of the original Karuba that I find to be an excellent game. A really fun, simple, very solitaire-ish game. More than this, but there's just more interest in it, you know. You are allowed to do a little more. You have more area to play with at the end of the day, you know. So that's it for Karuba, the card game. I wouldn't recommend you get it because there's too many other better games out there. And in fact, I would say if you've not played Karuba, try that, because I think the overlap in audience is considerable. I think many people who see this review and consider this an interesting little game, if you're not familiar with Karuba, I think you can get away with that one too, and that is a better game in my opinion. So there you go, Karuba the card game. Cute, but just it feels very unnecessary. It feels like just a game that got made because Karuba was very popular or is very popular. So there you go. That's the card game for you. Go check out the board game instead of Karuba. I'm Z Garcia. I'll see you next time.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.